At the back of the school dormitory, she caresses her body and planted a kiss on her lips. The warmth of her lips sent shivers down her spine, which left her yearning for more. "Please don't stop," she whispered. In a small quiet village, Linda, with her golden hair and eyes that mirrored the sky, grew up in a home where faith was as indispensable as the air they breathed. She was the embodiment of purity, her life a tapestry of prayers and hymns, her future seemingly set on the path of righteousness. Her parents, devoted Christians in their faith, believed in the sanctity of St. Mary All-Girls Boarding School, a place where they thought Linda's spirit would flourish under the guidance of strict moral codes. They wanted to put her into a boarding school so that they can have more time for their ministration church work. Little did they know, it was here that Linda's life would take a turn towards the untamed. Jennifer was a senior who seemed to glide through life with effortless grace. She was the kind of girl everyone admired, beautiful, confident, and endlessly charismatic. Teachers trusted her, students envied her, and she carried an aura of maturity that made others gravitate towards her. Linda first noticed Jennifer during evening prep. The senior had leaned over her desk to help a younger student with her homework. Her voice was soft yet commanding. Jennifer caught Linda watching her and smiled, a smile that felt both warm and mischievous. Her cheeks flushing with a mix of surprise and delight at being noticed by someone as mighty as Jennifer. It wasn't long before Jennifer began seeking Linda out. She would sit beside her at meals, ask her about her family, and compliment her intelligence. Linda, who had always been shy, found herself opening up in ways she hadn't before. Jennifer made her feel seen in a way no one else had. "You are different," Jennifer told her one evening, as they sat beneath the old mango tree in the schoolyard. "There is something about you, Linda, something very special." Linda felt her cheeks flush. I am just me." Jennifer's smile lingered. "Don't underestimate what just you can do." Over the weeks, Jennifer's flirtations were subtle yet persistent. A lingering look, a brush of hand during classes, words that seemed to caress rather than simply speak. The seduction was an art form for Jennifer. It peaked one night when they were alone in their shared dormitory. The room was bathed in the soft glow of the moon, casting shadows that danced like secrets. Jennifer, sitting close, started tracing patterns on Linda's arms, her voice a melody in the quiet night. "Have you ever felt truly free, Linda? Felt something just for you?" she murmured, her lips dangerously close to Linda's ears. That night was the first of many where Jennifer led Linda into the realms of desire she had never imagined. Jennifer's touch was both tender and exploratory, her kisses like the first drops of rain on a parched earth. They lay entangled, the world outside forgotten. Each touch, each kiss, a verse in their new secret poem. The sensation was overwhelming, a blend of fear, excitement, and an awakening of senses that Linda didn't know she possessed. Jennifer guided her through this new landscape of pleasure, her hands gentle, her whispers like promises. One fateful night, under the guise of a study section, Jennifer suggested they sneak out of the school. "There is a world beyond these walls, Linda," one of freedom, of feeling truly alive. You will really enjoy yourself, she whispered, her breath warm against Linda's ears. They scaled the school fence. The night air creeps. Jennifer had prepared party clothes in a hidden bag, transferring them both into figures of the night, into beautiful clothes with shimmering light, ready to blend into the pulsing heart of the big city. The first night Linda was taken by Jennifer was at such a party. The music was loud, the lights dim, creating an atmosphere where all inhibitions seemed to fade. Jennifer led Linda to a quiet corner where, under the veil of shadows, she leaned in, her lips brushing against Linda's. The kiss was electrifying, a shock of sensation that Linda had never anticipated. It was tender, yet insistent, pulling Linda into a world of new desire. From that night, Linda's transformation was both swift and profound. She began to crave the thrill of sneaking out of school every day, and the touch of Jennifer, the taste of freedom. This transformation was palpable, yet Linda's parents, consumed by their church activities, remained blind to it. They saw her weekend visits, her smiles, a sign of contentment, not realizing the fire that now burned within her was of different kind. Her grades dipped, her behavior began erratic, but her parents attributed these changes to the challenges of her studies, or perhaps the influence of her peers in a positive light. Night after night, Jennifer and Linda would return to their sanctuary within the school, where each encounter was a lesson in love, in passion, in the art of breaking free from the chains of conformity. Their love was a tapestry of whispered secrets, stolen glances, and hidden touches, each moment adding to a saga of forbidden romance. Their story, sprawled over countless nights, was one of love that defies the norm, of passion that ignites in the shadows. Linda was so pretty, she caught everyone's eyes. Even Mrs. Brown, the teacher everyone at school loved. Mrs. Brown wasn't what she seemed, though. She was behind all the bad stuff happening at school. Mrs. Brown would be nice to girls like Linda, making them feel special, but then she would do things that weren't okay to them. She would tell them, "Don't tell anyone, or I will make sure you have a really bad time in this school." She scared them into silence, making sure no one would speak up about what was happening. Mrs. Brown used her position and the fear she instilled in Linda to make her do things she wanted. One day, after class, Mrs. Brown kept Linda back, saying they needed to talk in her office. When they got to their office, Mrs. Brown started by saying nice things about Linda, making her feel very special. But then, her words changed. She told Linda that if she didn't do what she wanted, she would make sure Linda would never be happy at school again. She would fail her classes, or worse, spread lies about her. With no one else around, Mrs. Brown got close to Linda, touching her in ways that made her uncomfortable. She whispered that this was their secret, and if Linda told anyone, everyone would know and her life would be ruined. Mrs. Brown thought she had taken advantage of Linda's fear by forcing her to do things she didn't want, or under the threat of making her life miserable. She had no idea that Linda has been introduced into this act by Jennifer already. The ordeal with Mrs. Brown changed Linda's perspective in the school. She became bolder, more daring, and less like the obedient girl her parents knew. She learned that power could be used to control others, and she started to use it herself. During the holidays back at home, Linda's parents were too caught up in church activities to see the change in their daughter. She told them she had lots of schoolwork to catch up on, which was her excuse not to go to church with them. But once school started again, Linda was back to her new ways. She began to seduce other girls, using her beauty and the tactics she learned from Mrs. Brown and Jennifer to get what she wanted from them. Then, Linda noticed Alice. Alice was different, quiet, reserved, and from a family that had very little money. Her mother worked very hard just to keep Alex in that school. Alex was smart and careful, not interested in making friends easily. This made Linda want her even the more. Linda tried to charm Alex, but Alex was strong and bold and told Linda to leave her alone, warning her about the consequences if she persuaded her. Seeing that Alex was not someone easily swayed, Linda decided to take a darker path. She teamed up with Mrs. Brown and Jennifer, who both had their own reasons for wanting to control students. Together, they made life hard for Alex. Mrs. Brown started giving her bad grades. Jennifer spread rumors, and Linda used every chance she got to make Alex feel isolated. Even during food hours, they made sure Alex was given a small portion, and they also made sure no one else in the school spoke with her. They wanted to break Alex's spirit, to make her give in, but Alex stood firm, her resolve only strengthening with each challenge they threw her way. Alex's tears had stained her cheeks, a silent statement to the torment she had endured. She was isolated, her spirit battered by the relentless attack from Linda, Jennifer, and Mrs. Brown. Her grades were going down, not due to lack of effort, but because of the sabotage by those who held power over her academic life. One evening, as she sat behind the dormitory, her sobs barely muffled by her hands, a shadow fell over her. Alex looked up, her vision blurred by tears, to see Mrs. Reverend Mary standing before her. Known as a strict disciplinarian, Mrs. Mary was also a reverend sister whose presence commanded respect and a hint of fear from students and staff alike. "Why are you crying, child?" Mrs. Mary's voice was firm yet kind, a stark contrast to the harshness Alice had grown accustomed to. Alice tried to brush off the question, wiping her tears with the back of her hand, but Mrs. Mary's persistence was gentle yet unyielding. "You can trust me, Alex. Tell me, what burdens your little heart?" After a long moment of hesitation, the floodgates opened. Alex poured out her story, her voice a mix of fear, relief, and anger. She spoke of Linda's advances, the bullying, and Mrs. Brown's threats and manipulations. She described how her life had become a nightmare, her dreams of academic success dashed by those who should have nurtured them. Mrs. Mary listened, her face a mask of horror and determination. She had heard whispers of corruption within the school walls, but this was the first concrete evidence she had encountered. Her heart ached for Alice, but her mind was already strategizing. "We cannot allow this to continue," Mrs. Mary declared, her voice resolute. "You have done well by telling me, Alex. Now, We must plan how to bring this to light and ensure justice is served. Together, they hatched a plan. Mrs. Mary, with her authority and influence, would gather evidence secretly. Alex would continue to act as if nothing had changed, and she would also tell them that she is now among them in order to gather proof. Mrs. Mary knew they needed irrefutable evidence to confront the school administration, which had often turned a blind eye to such matters to avoid scandal. The plan included setting up secret recordings during one of Mrs. Brown's office sessions with Alex, where the teacher's coercive behavior would likely be evident. They also decided to document the psychological impact on Alex through medical reports, with the help of a trusted nurse who was appalled by the situation. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mary began to investigate Jennifer and Linda's activities more closely. Her inquiry, subtle but thorough, she spoke with other students, piecing together a pattern of behavior that suggested this wasn't an isolated incident. She was careful, knowing that any premature move could lead to destruction of evidence or further victimization of the student. The tension was palpable as Mrs. Mary handed Alex the small discreet record device. "Remember, be careful. We need this to be clear and undeniable," she whispered, her eyes reflecting both concern and determination. Alex nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She had agreed to meet Mrs. Brown and Linda under the pretense of succumbing to their demands, a plan that felt like walking into the lion's den. With the recording device hidden in her pocket, she made her way to the teacher's quarters, where the encounter was said to occur. Upon entering Mrs. Brown's room, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Linda and Jennifer were there already, their smiles predatory, their words honeyed but venomous. "We knew you would come around," Mrs. Brown called, her voice a mix of seduction and command. As the conversation turned into more explicit, Alex strategically placed the phone out of sight, its camera facing the group. She felt their hands on her, their breath close, words dripping with allure, but fear, real or feigned, was her shield. I am scared," Alex stuttered, pulling away slightly, her voice trembling with authenticity. Can I just watch this time? I promise I will join the next time, please." Her request was met with a mixture of disappointment and excitement from Linda and Jennifer. But Mrs. Brown, ever the manipulator, saw it as a step in the right direction. "Of course, dear. We are in no rush. Take your time and enjoy," she said, her smile never reaching her eyes. The scene that unfolded was one of calculated seduction, with Alex sitting back, her eyes wide, not with desire, but with the horror of what she was witnessing and recording. Every touch, every whisper was captured, a testament to the corruption within the school walls. After what felt like an eternity, Alice managed to excuse herself, retrieving the phone with shaking hands as she fled back to Mrs. Mary's office, who was waiting anxiously in her office for her. "Did you get it?" Mrs. Mary asked, her voice low and anxious. Alice nodded, handing over the device. The video played back, the evidence clear and damning. Mrs. Mary's face hardened as she watched, the gravity of what they had just done settling in. "This ends now," she declared. The next day, Mrs. Mary marched into the school administration office, her stride purposeful, the recording in her hand. She presented the evidence to the principal and the board. The room went silent, except for the damning playback of the night event. The reaction was immediate: shock, gasp, looks of disbelief, and then the grim knowledge that action must be taken. The school's reputation hung in the balance, but more importantly, the safety of his students. Mrs. Brown was immediately suspended, and an investigation was launched, which she was later charged to court over child abuse, because a lot of girls came out to speak about how she had abused them and forced them to do things they never wanted. Linda and Jennifer were removed from the school premises, their action leading to their expulsion. The evidence was irrefutable, the scandal unavoidable, but the swift response from the school aimed at damage control and justice. For Alice, it was a moment of vindication mixed with trauma of reliving her ordeal. But with Mrs. Mary by her side, there was a promise of healing and a future where such exploitation would be less likely to occur, thanks to the new safeguard being put in place. The school also put in charge therapists for the students that has been abused. Linda's return to her small town was nothing short of a parade of disgrace. The news of the scandal at St. Mary's School had spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the community, including the doorstep of Linda's home. Her parents, once pillar of the local church, now found themselves at the center of gossip and condemnation. The moment Linda walked through the door, the air was thick with question and tension. Her mother, whose eyes were red from crying, looked at her daughter not with anger, but a profound sense of loss and regret. Her father, a man of few words, stood with his back turned, unable to face the reality of what his daughter had become involved in. "We failed as a parent," her mother whispered, her voice breaking. We thought by sending you there, you would be safe, that we could focus on our ministry work, but we neglected you." The realization hit them hard. That pursuit of spiritual fulfillment had come at the cost of their daughter's moral compass. They had chosen the church over their child, believing that the boarding school would take care of her upbringing while they climbed their ladder of success. The moral of this story is that we must always watch out for each other and be careful about who we trust, especially in places like school where people should be safe. Parents should never be too busy for their kids, even if they think they are doing important work. They need to check on their children, talk to them, and make sure they are really okay and there are no form of abuse going on behind your back. Students should learn that saying no to bad things is okay and that they should tell someone if something wrong happens. It's important to have good friends and to stay away from those who want to do bad things to you. Remember, your actions have consequences, so choose wisely and protect yourself and others. Thank you for watching, guys. I will be seeing you in my next story. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Also, comment what you have learned from the story or comment your experiences of such incident in the comment section.